the Jewish bombing wasn't strong. It was a small hole because it didn't create a large hole. And then the second speaker goes, yo, it is really crazy how honorable and how moral they are. First speaker, yes, because they are the most moral army, unlike Hamas, which we hate. Here it is. Now they're trying to do damage control, which is crazy because while they're trying to do damage control, they're simultaneously doing more damage, which they will inevitably have to do damage control over. So think about that. As we are having this conversation, Israel is rolling its fucking tanks in the center of Rafah. Okay? The last remaining humanitarian safe zone. They're moving tanks into. Early hours after this attack, they were claiming victory, saying two higher up Hamas members were killed. But now there's a PR issue. It was an accident. Of course, that is how it always works. We didn't do it. It was a misfired rocket. Okay, we did it, but we were killing Hamas. Okay, there was no Hamas, but you know, this is an accident caused because of Hamas's war on Israel. They're genocidal. Okay, there was no Hamas there. It was just civilians. We told them to be there, but then also we shot and killed them. But, you know, maybe you should stop paying attention to us because that seems a little anti-Semitic that you're constantly chirping about Israel doing shit. Genocide feels a lot better when you don't got a bitch in your ear telling you that it's unconscionable and inhumane to do so. Yeah, it wasn't a safe zone, but it was a safe zone. Turns out it's not a safe zone any longer. They're literally fucking putting people into safe zones, which are not really safe zones anyway, because there's a proper legal designation for it.
Despite our efforts to minimize civilian casualties during the strike, the fire that broke out was unexpected and unintended. This is a devastating incident which we did not expect. We're investigating what caused the fire.
What are we doing? Why are we trying to do a Al Ahly literally fucking months after like, what are they doing? What are they doing? I really, really personally thought that we were over this. You know what I mean? We were done. We were done with this because they did this so many fucking times. Is this going to be another fucking OSINT cycle? Is that what we're going to do? Is that what's happening? 36,000 deaths so far. 36,000 Palestinians have been fucking ruthlessly slaughtered. And we're still having this convo? Like, this is the same exact fucking convo after Al Ahly. Try to fucking misinform. Just circulate as much misinformation as possible to reorient the discourse directly back to, well, maybe it's Hamas's fault, actually. Have you guys thought about how it's Hamas's fault? And it will. People will use it too. It doesn't even fucking matter. Oh my God. Oh my God. I hate this so much.
That resulted in this tragic loss of life. The investigation is ongoing. I will now share the facts that we've gathered so far. As you can see, in our aerial
I haven't even looked at the phone call, and my immediate reaction is it's most likely fake because Israel has faked phone calls a million times over. We'll dive into it, but oftentimes the markers of a fucking fake phone call is the exact same shit that corresponds to Israeli narratives. It's almost identical to the tortured confessions that they film, where they get like Palestinian people that they've apprehended and very clearly beat the shit out of to say things like, yeah, we're Hamas, actually. We're just like Hamas, if not worse. We're bad Muslims. The goal overall is to basically, the goal there is to just humiliate the resistance forces. It's not even a thing that is like considered valid by anyone else for the most part. Most people look at it and go, yeah, no, that's fucking bullshit. The phone call, again, the phone call is almost always so made up. Two Gazas on the phone, and you can't even hear the sound of drones behind either. IDF not even trying. Yeah, I mean, we'll look at it.
Surveillance from the time of the strike We targeted a closed structure away from tent area. As you can see, there are no tents in the immediate vicinity of the structure that we targeted. Contrary to reports, we conducted the strike outside the area that we designated as a...
Yeah, they literally said, we're sorry, by the way. They said, we didn't strike them. And then they said, oops, we did, and we're sorry. And now they're saying, oops, we didn't, we're not sorry. You know what's really ironic about this particular brand of projection, by the way? They lie in the opposite direction all the time as well. What do I mean by this? They did this whenever Hamas or any kind of Palestinian resistance group actually blows up an Israeli target. If it's near, if it's even something that they can claim that's near, even if it's an established base, they'll just close up one of the fucking crossings. Like the Eretz crossing was closed because they falsely claimed that Hamas blew up the crossing. Okay? Which was ridiculous because it's so suspicious that Hamas is doing things that just perfectly correspond to what Israel wants to do, which is to starve the entire Gazan population. Why would Hamas blow up the Eretz crossing? Oh, that's right. They didn't actually do that. They blew up a base that was 2 kilometers away from the Eretz crossing. And in order to punish the entire Palestinian population for, Hamas's combat victories, once again, they chose to close up the Eretz crossing and claim that Hamas blew it up. They did that. They literally did that. They did that like a month ago. And then they do this exact same thing on the opposite direction as well.
Humanitarian area and called civilians to evacuate to. Our strike was over a kilometer and a half.
Bro, motherfuckers are not even trying. This dude literally just has 1488 in his username. Congratulations, you Nazi fucking piece of shit.
Half away from the El Muasi humanitarian area, what we call the safer zone. Here is...
Wait. Oh my God, bro. Bro, first of all, the safer zone. Remember, they call it the safer zone and not a safe zone. Why do they call it the safer zone and not a safe zone, you might ask? That is because a safe zone is a legal designation. And they do not have the interest in providing safety in the safe zone. So they try to say, oh, it's a safer zone, as in it's safer than the other zone that we're blowing up. But that doesn't mean you'll be safe there either. And you won't get running water. You won't get you won't get drinkable water, for example. Like in a safe zone, you're supposed to provide the civilians water, electricity, certain amenities, certain things for survival. And of course, a guarantee that they will not blow you up. Okay? So they go, safer zone. They play fast and loose with this narrative.
Where Hamas claims we struck. And here is where we conducted our strike against the Hamas senior commanders outside the area designated as a humanitarian area. Our aerial surveillance was filming prior to the strike in order to minimize civilian harm. Here is the footage from our strike of the specific structure where the senior Hamas commanders...
Yeah, no other strikes happened, by the way, just that.
...were meeting.
Remember, going back to Al-Ahli, which we still do not have any conclusive evidence on whether or not it was a misfired Palestinian Islamic Jihad rocket or an Israeli artillery strike that hit like a gas tank or whatever the fuck, okay? We do not have any real evidence to this day, and we probably never will. But what did Israel do after Al-Ahli? What did Israel do after Al-Ahli? They immediately said, we were not operating in the area. That was a lie. They lied. Then they came out with a phone conversation that was also immediately disproven to be truthful. It was also a lie. Okay? Then they said, first they said it was Hamas. Well, first they celebrated it and said there are Hamas terrorists at the hospital, so we had to fucking blow it up. Then they went back on it and were like, okay, just kidding. It was actually a misfire. It was a misfire rocket, okay, that blew up. Meanwhile, Os and Andes were fucking running around, literally coming up with the dumbest fucking theories like, oh, this was actually an intercepted rocket that fell on the hospital. Made no goddamn sense. But it didn't matter. Everybody went along with it. Everybody went along with it for days. How am I to believe Israel ever again? How? I have to be literally the biggest Islamophobe on the fucking planet to ever believe a single fucking thing that the Israeli government says. How? How am I supposed to look at this critically and go, let me take what they're saying seriously? Now, everyone that desperately wants to poison the well and has said that I'm an Islamist fundamentalist, that I'm like fucking, a Palestinian jihadi or whatever the fuck, whatever kind of like racist bullshit, has desperately tried to make this seem like my analysis on this is simply motivated by some ancient anti-Semitism, even though ironically, those very same people who say that are literally anti-Semitic. Okay? But even if I did not have, many years of covering this conflict and covering many different iterations of these sieges and this ethnic cleansing, okay, which I do, if I was looking at this with fresh eyes, okay, if I'm looking at this with fresh eyes, since October 7, there is no fucking way that I can trust what the fucking Israeli government is saying. That level of skepticism is genuinely healthy, for the record, and you should exercise that for America as well. As I do, as you know. For example, America, when we're doing our many different invasions and occupations and whatnot, we will routinely lie about this shit too. We did this. We did this not that long ago under the Brandon administration. When we were leaving Kabul, we lobbed one last fucking tomahawk for all the good times in the courtyard. If you remember, what did the DOD say about it? The DOD said, oh, we didn't actually kill a whole family. It was a terrorist. Okay? It was a terrorist. Turns out it was an aid worker and not a terrorist at all. We just massacred a fucking Afghan family of a humanitarian aid worker for no fucking reason. Faulty intel. That came out afterwards due to the many different investigations that occurred. Due to the brilliant work at the time of the New York Times Visual Investigations Unit. But that didn't stop the DOD from lying, because that's what governments do. So remove the shackles that you have in your mind when you analyze what the Israeli government is saying that cause you to think, am I being anti-Semitic here? The Israeli government is not Judaism, okay? It is the government. It is a government that is currently doing ethnic cleansing. After posting about the Rafah massacre today, my Jewish son, his mother asked me to please stop posting about Pakistan. That's hilarious. Okay. Let's
the strike was conducted using 2 munitions with small warheads suited for this targeted strike. We're talking about munition with 17 kilos of explosive material. This is the smallest munition that our jets can use. Following this strike, a large fire ignited for reasons that are still being investigated. Our munition alone could not have ignited a fire of this size. I want to repeat it. Our munition alone could not have ignited a fire of this size. Our investigation seeks to determine what may have caused such a large fire to ignite. We are looking into all possibilities, including the option that weapons stored in a compound next to our target, which we did not know of, may have ignited as a result of the strike.
Yeah, it's Hamas once again. Man, it's crazy. It's Hamas again, bro. That's crazy. It's always, anytime the Western world gives a shit about Israel's misconduct during its like normal process of ethnic cleansing, it's always Hamas. And what is really indecent about this is that the media will report it as fact without conducting any investigation whatsoever. That is gross, dude.
It should be noted, Hamas has been operating from this area since October 7th. Here, in this satellite image, 43 meters from
Every
the
time.
structure we target.
Couple like official looking bullshit drone shots, and that's all it takes. That's all it fucking takes, baby, for the Western world to be like, yep, see, it was Hamas. It was Hamas.
You can see Hamas rocket launchers. Hamas fired rockets from these launchers at Israel during their massacre on October 7th. We're also assessing footage documented by Gazans on the night of the strike, posted on social media, which appear to show secondary explosions, indicating that there may have been weapons in the area. Our signal intelligence intercepted some phone calls that reinforce this concern, raising the possibility that weapons stored in a nearby compound caught fire. Here is one of those phone calls.
Wait, we can't even see it because of the fucking Chiron. Wait, where's the does anyone else have it? 9,000 likes, of course. Yeah, that can literally just be a propane tank or even bags of flour. You just making shit up. No. It is weapons cache. You don't understand. Flour can be used as a weapon. Remember the flour massacre caused by Hamas. Don't investigate it further. Yeah, isn't it wonderful how they always happen to find a phone conversation that identically parallels what they're now saying. Like they did not fucking intercept phone conversation. They never have phone conversations intercepted at the moment of the strike. It's always like, it always takes like a day, but they immediately are able to find a phone conversation that details exactly what their argument is. It starts off with, and they say that they, Hamas terrorists that were bombed, sat in a meeting and that there is a facility. And in addition, they had ammunition because all the ammunition that started exploding. Bags of money were flying in the air. Abu Rafik. These ammunition that exploded were really ours? Yes, this is an ammunition warehouse. I tell you, it exploded. I mean, the Jewish bombing wasn't strong. It was a small missile because it didn't create a large hole. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but the Jewish bombing wasn't strong. It was a small hole because it didn't create a large hole. And then the second speaker goes, yo, it is really crazy how honorable and how moral they are. First speaker, yes, because they are the most moral army, unlike Hamas, which we hate. Grr, says the second speaker. The only group of people I hate more than Hamas is Kamir Khan of the ICC. Yes, first speaker says, I absolutely despise Amir Khan. The fact that that bastard is trying to prosecute Yoav Gallant, who has conducted the most honorable, most moral military campaign in Gaza, makes me so mad. Second speaker says, I hope that Israel finishes off Hamas and also kills my family in the process, because I think it would be valid if my family died. First speaker says, what? You want your family to die? Second speaker says, yes, if they died in the hands of Israel, it would be valid because they would be doing the honorable thing, which is killing Hamas. And then they both say, I love Israel. Did you know Tel Aviv is a perfect destination for a gaycation. As an audio listener, I have no idea how much of this is ad-libbing and how much of this is real. It's all, I'm fucking joking, obviously. Well, I'm not joking when when the phone conversation they quote unquote intercepted was, I mean, the Jewish bombing wasn't strong. It was a small missile because it didn't create a large hole. And afterwards, a lot of secondary explosions. And they say that they, Hamas terrorists that were bombed, sat in a meeting and that there is a... Oh, it goes back to the beginning. Okay. They end the conversation by saying, Am Israel Chai. Yeah. Great stuff, though. Totally exonerated. I believe it.
Verify the... We are working to verify the cause of the fire. It is still too early to be determined.
Yeah, bro, I believe it. Well, I'm convinced. I'm the dumbest person you've ever met. And it surely seems like it would be... It surely doesn't seem like far too convenient. I've never paid attention to anything before, and I will not pay attention to anything after. Israel has unimaginable amounts of surveillance, which they actually do. They do have 24/7 drone surveillance, but they can tap into every phone conversation of everyday Palestinians and Hamas militants, and yet they have not been able to find any of the fucking hostages until they blow up a house where the hostages are in, and then they pick their fucking corpses out of the rubble. How can these two things exist in the same fucking place? How is that possible? Israel has Batman-level surveillance of every single phone conversation that's occurring at any given moment, but for some reason, they just can't find a single one of the fucking hostages, dude. How did they not intercept comms about October 7th but have this under 48 hours of strike? Here, I'll give you a really good answer for it. It's because they are lying. It's because they made it up. It's because no two Palestinian men are having a conversation in the middle of the fucking rubble while like they're pulling their fucking family members that have turned into dust out of the encampment. They're calling each other to have a conversation about how moral Israel is and how small their rockets are and how actually they're more mad about Hamas because that must have been a Hamas weapons depot.
Even when we do find the cause of the fire that erupted, it won't make this situation any less tragic. We took a number of steps prior to the strike to avoid civilian casualties, aerial surveillance from above, using specific munitions.
Okay, I do believe this guy actually can intercept Hamas conversations. I just don't believe that he's capable of like transcribing them though because of the size of his fucking ears, okay? Like this guy probably does hear anytime like a Hamas militant is sneezing, he's hearing it. He probably heard me say this, okay? My man's got some fucking satellite dishes up in there, okay? Jesus Christ, dude.
Aimed at minimizing collateral damage, delaying the attack in order to further assess expected civilian presence.
It's like, you know how people will say like, oh, body shaming is not all right because like your words might not reach his ears, but it will some chatters with big old ears will hear what you have to say. It's like, no, my words will reach his ears, man. He will fucking hear me all the way from Tel Aviv, okay? That's a bit anti-Semitic. No, it's not. No. There are certain things that people have made jokes about and have used in anti-Semitic depictions. Large ears is not one of them. Okay, it is not like a racist Jewish stereotype that he looks like Dumbo. Okay, that's just him. That's him and him only. Ain't nobody got fucking flaps like that.
And other means. This incident is being investigated by the General Staff Fact-Finding and Assessment Mechanism, an independent and professional body that is investigating the circumstances of those killed in the area of the strike. This investigation will be swift, comprehensive,
oh yeah,
and transparent.
I believe it. Yeah, definitely. Someone in the chat said he's the Israeli Air Force. Yeah, he flies with those shits. Okay, that's what it is. Broken here thoughts. That's why he knew. He knew that it was Hamas because he heard the thoughts of Hamas.
Our war is against Hamas, not against the people of Gaza, which is why we convey deep sorrow for this tragic loss of life. Question.
Yeah, dude. He is deeply, deeply saddened by this tragic loss of life. Bro, you killed 36,000 before. Fuck you mean you're deeply sad about this tragic loss of life? No, you're not. The only reason why you're even saying any of these things, which you're saying reluctantly, it's so funny that he has to like get up here and apologize, reluctantly, mind you, because the Western world saw it and we're like, oh my God, you literally decapitated a fucking baby. That is insane. So then he has to turn around and be like, oh, we are so saddened by this tragic loss of life. It is so fucked up. Oh, but 36,000 before, that is Hamas.
Terror in Rafah. There is still Hamas battalions in Rafah. A couple of days ago, launchers from Rafah fired to Tel Aviv. Millions of people went into bomb shelters.
This is a actually very good point by Cenk, which is exactly what I'm trying to explain. Israel just murdered another 21 people in a tank camp that was supposed to be in the civilian evacuation zone near Rafah. But since there was no video of children on fire this time, they haven't bothered apologizing. Congress wants to give Netanyahu a standing ovation for this. He's absolutely right. Because Israel does not ever call into question the record at all when there isn't enough stink about the people that they're murdering. Just like the 36,000 people that they murdered. Just like the 200 aid workers that they fucking slaughtered before the 7 World Central Kitchen aid workers that they slaughtered. Notice how they never had to talk about how it was Hamas when they killed 200 aid workers before the 7? Because when you don't give a fuck in the Western world, they don't even care to do propaganda on it.
There is still terror in Rafah. Today and the day before, we have again detected tunnels on the Philadelphia corridors. Those are tunnels going to Sinai. We are.
Wait, they killed 36 people just now yesterday? No, man. No, over the course of the past 8 months. And I believe that is also an undercount regardless.
Talking to the Egyptians, we are demolishing those tunnels. We are working in a precise and targeted.
We haven't seen that, motherfucker. 40% of Rafah's buildings have been destroyed or severely damaged. Your media plays this fucking dumb for free. They just won't challenge them. Yes, that's absolutely correct. That's why I say, in order to get more valid intel about what's going on in Israel, I would much rather trust Israeli media. Like, I would much rather trust a rabid fucking ultra-nationalist Zionist journalist than I would a dumb fuck in the American press corps. Because the dumb fucks in American press corps are, 1, super far removed from the conversation. 2, literally will just repeat whatever the fuck the State Department is saying.
Way, there's still hostages in Rafah. And we need to make sure that we do everything we can to bring our hostages back home.